it is explicit in the Bitcoin Act that the keys to this reserve will be geographically distributed. Like, let's just have a
Among
fun
how
thought
many?
experiment.
Among how many Federal Reserve Board governors or Treasury?
Well, yeah. I
Treasury
mean, so let's like it,
staff.
let's go down um to pass a different thought experiment. Like one, like you, if you were the architect of this strategic Bitcoin reserve, like how would you do it to make it as robust as possible so that we don't fall into the same trap that many governments fell into in World War II with the Nazi gold seizures? Like
Right.
let's think optimistic here. Like in your mind, like how what would need to be done to build a reserve that could actually begin to eat into that chart that you were just.
Let me give a positive disclaimer there. First of all, I think it certainly will repair the balance sheet if they hold Bitcoin. We all know that it will. And the second thing is we know that they're going to do it. They're going to try to do it, whether it's Trump or Loomis or maybe even if there's a Democrat administration that maybe they'll do it. Whatever. Eventually they're going to do it, and nothing I or you say is going to stop that. It's too powerful of an asset. It's too neutral of an asset that even though they might poo-poo it now, and even though they might sell some Silk Road Bitcoins now, they still have the printing press that they could just easily, you know, buy up the whole market if they want. But of course, they know that once they do that, like it would be the case with the gold market, they would explode the price, and they wouldn't want that because that would make all the holders of that asset their overlords immediately. And they don't want that, and they're not going to let that happen. So yes, it's going to be they're going to do it. They're going to do something to the effect. And I do understand the debate or the argument that it's going to help repair your balance sheet. And as I showed you, the U.S. is major in need of that repair. We're at 37 trillion in the hole, and really 42 trillion because only about 900 billion of that is good assets. So that's fine. As far as making it happen in a good way, again, I don't have much faith there. I think it's not going to be done in good faith. I think uh, even if there are people working on the project and really working hard to make it a reality, the United States federal government at this point is just an unbelievable institutionalized beast on its own. Clinton thought he was like God's gift to humanity when he balanced the budget for his second term, just before the year 2000, right? For 4 years, 4 years. And if I've shown you that chart before, right? The United States debt, like it was maybe 5-6 trillion at that time. Now it's 35 trillion. Add on the extra 10 trillion in liabilities I just showed you on this balance sheet, or 7 trillion. You're really at 43 trillion dollars. Like it's it's not going to stop any of the bad behavior of government. The only way that you stop that behavior is by fiscal discipline. It's not by an investment miracle.
Well, interjecting here, what are your thoughts on the tax policy that's been floated? I think Thomas Massey came out, and so essentially lower the income tax, increase tariffs. And the assumption there is if you're going to do that, especially if you're going to increase tariffs, you need to basically decimate the bureaucratic blob that exists within our federal government. Like,
Yeah. I thought you
what
were
if
going to
we
ask
had?
me about unrealized capital gains tax.
Well, that I mean, that's from the other side, but let's think positive here. I mean, we can talk about the definitely touch on that and like why it's so completely idiotic. But in
Saying,
terms
yeah.
of cleaning up the fiscal house, would this tax policy of increasing tariffs, lowering income tax, and then the assumption is if you're going to do that, you have to have a Malay style afuera, the destruction of the managerial class within the federal government.
Yeah. Look, I feel like I tell you this all the time, but I feel like I'm getting too personally invested in my family, too old to like really worry about that too much in an idealistic way. I just don't think it's going to happen in a way that you want it to happen, Marty. I don't know. I I just don't. I think that realpolitik is going to come in. Democrats are going to say they want to compromise on this, but then they want to get that. It's the same nonsense as always. The only way to do it, would be after lots of failing, come back and have a, as you said, Malay style sort of epiphany, massively cut the spending and massively reduce the debt as a result of that. But that's just not going to happen in the current state of the United States. I mean, military spending is ramping up. World is, getting uncertain. Promises are going to keep being made. It's not going to happen. You see the slope of the charts there of the debt, the slope of the charts of the treasury. I mean, there's just like, it's a wall that's just growing and growing and growing. And we are not at all, talking about the US now, of course, we're not at all in the state of, multi-generational failed governments like Argentina had. The dollar is still accepted. I showed you the monetary base of all the other currencies falling against a US dollar equivalent, a US dollar valued monetary base. Even though the US is only, 20% of that total, their monetary base, it's still the dollar itself is it's just huge. The network effect is huge, and it's something that they want to protect. So I just think it's bullshit, man. I think all the talk of it's just bullshit. I think people get excited, they get hyped up over the next election, but I just don't. I don't see
I
it.
get it. I get it. The internal optimist of, like, if I'm being realistic and sober, I like, you're right. But man can dream. It would be awesome. Somebody with young children who doesn't want them to grow up in a failed state, like, it would be incredible. And who knows? Maybe again, getting idealistic, naive, most definitely. But maybe Trump does have. They try to fucking kill him. He's bringing in RFK. Had his uncle and father killed by this deep state. Like, man can dream that somebody can get in and have enough of a chip on their shoulder that they're like, fuck it, we're just decimating. Then you have like Chevron deference. That's another thing that got passed this year that many people are sleeping on as well. Like, it sort of neuters that bureaucratic state to an extent too. And I think it'll take time to see the lawsuits that stem from that ruling that really lay bare that a lot of these alphabet soup agencies actually don't have any control, and therefore probably shouldn't have the budgets that they're getting moving forward.
The slow and gradual peeling back of the state is obviously preferred and would be great to see. I've never seen that happen in the real world. Usually it takes some sort of a revolution. And I don't say that as far as like a bloody revolution or anything like this. I'm just saying it takes a major crisis for that to change. And that's actually what Rothbard observed. I've told you that, right? About the, imagine we can get our anarcho-capitalist or libertarian president in. I told you that story, right? Like, he used to write this, it's some article way back from like 70s or 80s. And he's like, we all want our guy to come in and be that president who, like Superman, comes in on the first day, rips off his shirt, and there's the big A, it's not the S. And he wrote this, and it's like, it's not, he's not our Superman, but he's our anarcho-capitalist. He's our libertarian. He's going to bring everything back to the way we want it to be. But, obviously that's just not going to work here. We have a divided government. We have multiple, checks and balances. The president is just one person. And also, these are his words, and I'm paraphrasing. I remember him saying, it's very difficult to expect that on the way up in that journey, you don't get completely corrupted yourself and have, just fall into the same malaise that everybody else does.
Hey, do you still have your Bitcoin on an exchange? Don't hold your Bitcoin on an exchange. Take it into self-custody. If you're looking for an easy way to do that, we have the BitKey. BitKey is Bitcoin made easy to use and hard to lose. Take the first step, get your Bitcoin off the exchange. Check out the link in the show notes. That'll get you 20% off your BitKey, or use the code TFTC20 at checkout.